Now through the end of the month, save $300 on the whole ball of wax at L'EntrepreneurAcademy.com. The whole ball of wax includes just about everything at the site, and when you use the code SPRINGRUSH at checkout, we will instantly drop $300 off the already amazing low price. Details are in the show notes.
You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton here, hanging with you guys, and good morning. Well, guys, really quickly, wanted to just talk to you for a couple quick minutes, maybe some helpful tips here about maybe leaving a little bit more cash on hand as we go into the upcoming spring season. Just having some fun here. So there's been a lot of interesting kind of like, what would you call it, like relevant topics or recent events about recession and the economy slowing down, and Lord knows where things are going to go over the next 6, 12, 18 months. And of course, it's really, really interesting to see like what bothers people, what ruffles people's feathers, what people are focusing on, what gets people's attention. Are people focused? Are people not focused? Like, you can still be focused and still not keep your head in the sand, quote unquote. By the way, we all know from Jeff Joyner, ostriches do not keep their head in the sand. That being said, and the reason is because the bank that collapsed in California. I know this is a little bit more of current events. I'm not a big current events guy on the podcast. I would be if we could video it, because then we could talk about FU clips, right? The Joe Rogan style clips. But the whole conversation, and I'm not, some economist or financial wizard here, so don't think I'm going to be giving you like sage wisdom and advice on what to do with your collapsed earnings that the FDIC is quote unquote going to make sure that is insured and you get back, right? And it's like, by the way, quick side note and rant, like if the FDIC, like they have to print money to cover those loans, if that for all the accounts that were insured up to 250,000. And, I don't know if some people had, 7 million in the account and, you just get screwed on the delta. It's kind of above my pay grade. But at the same point, like, it doesn't the FDIC, like if they have to cover that, don't they just print money to cover that? And doesn't that printing money, like basically go into the economy, which again, screws the little dude? Like it just, with inflation again and again and again, like keep devaluing the currency. And, it's like, I'm sure all those stimmies were a great thought and great theory and a great idea until literally everything is like 20 to 30% more money, in the last 3 years. I just saw on Instagram, an infographic. I see them, you guys see them, they're always fun to look at. And it was saying like, Q4 2022 is arguably the worst time ever in literally homeownership history for affordability sake, and what it costs for a mortgage for anybody trying to become a homeowner. As Liz and I are trying to become a homeowner, I'm like, great, we sure picked a good quarter, good year, good, window of life to finally get our ducks in a row. And it's like, I keep telling Liz, I'm like, I swear we are like strong fish apparently swimming upstream, and maybe some of you guys can relate. Like all of this stuff that we're doing, we're on like the good ship, never give up, because I feel like we're all just like swimming upstream. We're all like, sailing into the wind. And I'm just like, could it be a little easier sometimes? Like, I'm not asking for it to, quote unquote, don't ask for it to get easier, ask for it to you get better. Jim Rohn. Like, I'm all about that life. But, it would be like nice sometimes if the prevailing winds could like work in our favor. Like I can have the wind in my sails. Like I could have, things, quote unquote, going our way for a good economy. Okay, well, that being said, like sometimes you're, I don't want to say a victim of your circumstances, but your circumstances are your circumstances. What are we going to do? Complain? Just whine or wet on ourselves? No. Okay, so, well, then at the end of the day, we have to look at what we can control, right? What we can control. And so the kind of the point of today's podcast was, let's say there is a recession. Let's say there are some things that might be slowing down a little bit. Like what's some low-hanging fruit, some things that we can do? I don't have any notes written down. I don't have any topics specifically written down. I wanted to relate back to my story back when I actually got in business in 07, 08. And well, actually I was in business in 06. And really even like kind of like the tail end of 05. And a year and a half later was 07 and 08 and the rumblings and all that stuff. And dude, it was a meltdown. It was a meltdown like of the financial sector like nobody had seen, the housing market like nobody had seen. And it was a rough, I would say like it really took until about 2013 or so for things to kind of like chug along and get a little bit better. But even then, like if you look at, the stock market averages and the points and like all these different things, you realize like we still just kind of eclipsed back from where all these real metric highs adjusted for, today's years. It finally kind of got back there in like 2016, 17, 18, maybe. And that's like even debatable. So it's like nothing like having a 13, 14 year, run to get back to zero. And now we all get back to zero. And what are we doing now? Going back to zero again, or even below zero. And it's just like, dude, what the heck? Almost by design, obviously, with my opinion in the current administration, like, everything's just getting destroyed. And so I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, maybe not the most cheerful podcast on a Monday, a little doom and gloom. Not exactly what I want to be, Fox 2 News at 10 reporting here for you guys, because, this is like not the fun conversation, but what can we do in the meantime to make sure that we still keep things working? We still keep, business booming. We still keep a roof over our heads. Well, number one, let's talk about like low hanging fruit. I don't want to miss any thoughts. My brain is kind of firing some of these ideas. Number one, cut unnecessary expenses. Right? I'm just going to go through a quick hot take here. It's going to be a short and sweet episode.
Running a successful lawn care and landscaping business means you are working hard and smart. You're smart about investing in equipment to grow your business, to be more efficient, go the distance, and take more on. Cujo Yardware is working hard to provide you with the absolute best footwear options to help you get the job done. You want efficiency? Trash the grass-stained athletic shoes that fail on slopes and do. You want to go the distance? Forget those overkill boots that weren't built for the yard. You don't have to choose between lightweight comfort or water-resistant traction because Cujo Yardware was built for you. From the comfortable yard shoes to the tough X1 landscape boots, Cujo selected the best quality materials to optimize the performance and satisfaction of lawn care professionals. While you focus on laying killer stripes, Cujo will be there every step of the way. Check them out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
Let's just talk about really quick things you don't need. Start cutting some random expenses. Okay, like yes, you can go make more income, and that's probably going to be number two. And I have these in no particular order. But number one, like cut unnecessary expenses, things that you don't need. And I'm not saying necessarily like subscriptions or any of that mess, because that's usually what people go first. They're like, cancel your Netflix for $12.95 a month. Look, dude, $12.95 a month is not going to make or break your life. No matter how many people want to tout that as like sage wisdom and advice, if you have 7 subscriptions at $10 a month, that's $70 a month times, 12 months, that's $900 a year. If your finances are that brittle where $900 in subscriptions is going to make or break anything that you're doing, then you have an entirely different need and conversation for Dave Ramsey. Okay, like literally. So let's talk about things that when people say cut expense, what they mean is, hey, maybe cancel out the unnecessary third vacation or second vacation or the extra Jeep Rubicon that you guys have as a family vehicle, or maybe for business, instead of getting a new mower, continue to use that used mower. Instead of buying a 4th or 5th mower, maybe let's see if we can make deal with 3 or 4. Hey, for that extra skid steer that we have laying around, like, can we get rid of that? It doesn't mean fire sale these assets for pennies, but it does mean like, hey, if you got an extra loader laying around, an extra machine laying around, a mower laying around, like my rule is if it's not logging hours, like get rid of it. It's just literally cash that you could have to have back in reserves or to obviously reinvest into other things. All right. So number one, let's cut some expenses. Let's stop doing things that we don't need to be doing. It doesn't mean don't get your soda at lunch. It doesn't mean stop eating out 4 days a week. Maybe you can go down to 3 days a week. It's not going to kill anybody. But more realistically, what kind of liabilities that you have are out there that are not generating income? Okay, like those are by definition a liability. So let's see if we can shore any of that stuff up. Number two, make more money. I know that seems like such a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised how many people don't exhaust that thought or that option before they start complaining or feel like it's doom and gloom. Number two, make more money. Like I've been the biggest proponent of encouraging people ever since I could remember. I picked up Rich Dad Poor Dad in 2005. I'm not like overnight Mr. Guru, Mr. Figuring stuff out, like, hey, passive income's a great idea. I had always, since working at Little Caesars in 2001 maybe 2000. I worked in a franchise. It was a corporate owned store, but it's a Little Caesars franchise, right? Corporate owned franchise. And I'm thinking to myself, dude, I've never seen Mr. Ilitch. I don't even know how to spell Mr. Ilitch. And homie, is making $5,000 to $9,000 per month on the P&L on a, $500,000, $1 million per year unit. And I'm just thinking to myself, dude, this dude's never around, bro. And I've never even seen him. I don't even get invited to like Christmas parties, holiday parties. My regional manager once a year is like, hey guys, we're going to go bowling, which, yeah, that sounds like fun, And so I'm thinking to myself, like, I've always wanted to make passive income. I've always wanted to own things that make money for me. I didn't know that it was called an asset. I didn't know, the rich dad, poor dad cash flow quadrant. Okay. This was all like, dude, it was like discovering new land. It was like, telling me that the world's round and I'm thinking the world's flat or something like that. It was like a whole different, I think I've talked about this on a different podcast episode, like presenting both sides. I was never presented anything other than being self-employed or being an employee. I didn't know you could be a business owner or an investor. And not only that, I didn't know that you could like create little micro sources of incomes and micro drips. Like I didn't know that you could, write a book or make a YouTube channel, review Amazon stuff. You could make an ebook. You could, of course, everybody thinks the big stuff. They're like, oh, I'm going to go do network marketing. I'm going to go do real estate investing. I'm going to go own an apartment or a condo or a duplex, triplex, house hack. That's all that's awesome stuff. But dude, I mean, realistically, like if you don't have $80,000 sitting around to go buy that duplex, triplex, first 4-8, unit apartment building, like it's such a stretch to go from, hey, I want to make extra income to somebody saying, yeah, dude, own a $1.2 million, 16-plex or 12-plex or 8-plex and, do a little this, little that, repaint everything and change the door locks and you can raise rent 20%. And now you got $24,000 a year of cash flow with an extra $13,000 on top of that after renovations. And then after 10 years, pull it out that equity and refinance into other properties. Like, bro, that's like a level 404 game. Like, dude, of course that might be like the game everybody wants to get to. But in the beginning, we're talking about making an extra $300 to $400 a month. Because in 08, in 9 and 10, the stat that was all around town, and I don't know if this was true, don't fact check me on this one, but the stat, all I heard all the time from the news, from everybody, which, obviously a trusted source of information, was the average person that lost their home in 08, 09, 010, in 10, they had to have made, like what would have saved them was an additional $400 a month. Like nothing wild, but $400 a month. And so why talk about lawn care? Why talk about, making more income? Well, dude, like talk about the best business opportunity in America that you could start. Like I don't get paid to sell franchises. I don't get paid to quote unquote sell lawn care businesses. Like I don't get paid to encourage people to go buy mowers. Like, I mean, I guess I do with Xmark. That's our only quote unquote brand deal. But you guys know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't behoove me to get more people in the industry. Well, like, so you can sell them a contract, like on launchpreneuracademy.com. Bro, like, that's so, like, not where my mind is. Like, we're not like that. I want to help the people already in the industry. And if new people want to get in, dude, like, all the better. But I'm not like, hey, dude, like, you need to get in, you need to get in, you need to do this. Like, dude, you can do 100 different things to make more income. You can go pressure wash. You can go paint. You can do pretty much anything nights and weekends. You can Uber. A lot of people are doing that. A lot of people have done that. A lot of people in the Midwest that haven't had a lot of snow, they're sitting around and I'm getting DMs and emails from people saying, hey, dude, it's only snowed 3 times. Like, I just don't know what to do with my business. Like, we haven't made any income, no revenue. And like, dude, no duh. My heart goes out to that. But I'm also like, what have you been doing for 40 hours, 50 hours, 60 hours a week for 4 months? Like, have you not humbled the ego and go worked at Amazon or a local, restaurant, delivered pizzas at least on Friday, Saturday night, Ubered? Like, well, I'm not, I'm above that. Well, I mean, are you above getting things like repoed? Like, and I'm not being a tough guy. I'm just saying, like, dude, I worked at a medical supply warehouse for 3 or 4 years. I was a temp. I was making like, dude, $10 and $12 an hour. It was a joke. Like financially. But you know what? It was $400 or $500 a week. I was always working overtime just to like keep, make as much as I could. And so I was always logging 45, 50 hours a week at that place. And you know what? It wasn't a lot, but number one, it like proved to my wife that she didn't marry a bum and like she's working still full time. And I was like, hey, I should probably do something on the side. And I didn't know, dude, there was no Uber or Lyft back in, 13, 14, 12, 13, 14, 15, whenever I was doing all that mess. Like that, those weren't even a thing. And I also didn't know like to charge more than $20 for snow blowing a driveway. I should have been doing it for 40s, 50s, and 60s, right? And so really quickly, yes, you want to make more income. And there's the whole question about like making more income. It just comes down to solving people's problems and being creative. That's it. I don't want it to be any more complicated. Like if a storm goes through, there's a bunch of trees that are down, go make a 7-cent flyer, go get 75 copies at Staples or 500 copies at Staples for $75 and go pass those suckers out. I mean, Asher Buersdorf with Garden Guy Outdoor Services. He's like my homie, dude. Like him and I talk all the time, and a bunch of the other dudes around here locally. And I saw him 2-3 times this last, 2-3 months. And we've had some crazy ice storms come through. And he's got like a 6x10 dump trailer, maybe a 7x14, whatever. It doesn't matter. And he's loaded that thing up with walls and high sides. I mean, like plywood high sides, all the way to the brim, about half dozen to 10 times by now. Because we had these ice storms come through, and he's just using his little battery powered chainsaw. Not like the meaning like battery powered chainsaw, but like he's just using his battery powered chainsaw and his hatchet, lopping things off and cleaning things up and picking up sticks. And he's like, dude, I'm making 200 here, 400 here, 150 there, 500 there, like just sticks and trees and branches. Just creative extra ways of making income. All right, let's talk about bigger level stuff here for just a quick second. Like that's a great way to make extra income. Dude, go Uber, go Lyft. Like nobody's judging you. Nobody cares. Nobody's like, you're a loser or your business is failing. Like just figure it out. Work construction with a friend's dad or work in another industry for 2-3 months and just promise yourself that the next year season, you're going to do whatever it takes to hedge or save or budget or whatever so you don't come into this situation again. And I'm telling you from practical experience, dude, like when I left the warehouse for my last time and I kicked open the door, it literally was like March, I'm in a warehouse, box dust, like it looked like a haze in there all the time. When the garage doors opened, it looked like freedom. I felt like, Kunta Kinte wanted to run across the white sandy beaches. I'm like, this is ridiculous, dude. I want to run. I want to be free. And those garage doors would open and I'm like, dude, that's freedom on the other side. The sun's beaming in, at certain parts of the day. And then the skylights, tease at you. It's like being in a maximum security prison cell. Like the sun is over you for like an hour a day and like it just beams in through the skylight. And you're like, dude, freedom on the other side. And I'm like, I'm free. Like I'm actually like, I'm being here by design. I'm being here by choice. I'm being here by like discipline. And being here because I should be here to like do the right thing, quote unquote. But dude, every time those garage doors opened up, I wanted to sprint out there, dude. And it was like 5 more weeks left, 4 more weeks left, 3 more weeks left, working towards March, working towards spring cleanups, 2 more weeks, 1 more week. And then like the first or second week of March would hit. It would be 50 degrees out there. You'd start seeing like the mow crews pop out. I had, 8 whopping cleanups, on my schedule at the time because I had a little Mickey Mouse business. And I was like, dude, I'm ready to rock and roll. Like, I'm out of here. Told the boss, hey, I'm giving you a week's notice. I was a temp anyway. They didn't care. I didn't care. They knew I'd be back, maybe a year later. And it was kosher, but I said, I'm out of here. They're like, okay, next week, Friday, or this Friday is your last time coming on in. And boom, it was out to the races. I didn't have any ego. I was like, thank God for $400 or $500 a week. And in today's economy, thank God for $400, $500, $600 a week. Because again, if you go all the way back to 08, 09, 10, like the $400 or $500 a month would have been the make it or break it. So we're talking about making sure your family is taken care of. Spend a little less, make a little bit more. It's, like if somebody's an engineer making 60, 70 grand a year and they're Ubering nights and weekends, dude, society would call that guy an idiot. I'd call that guy a genius. Because if he's able to get the debt, quote unquote, water level from his eyeballs down to his nose, from his nose down to his rib cage, from his rib cage down to his knees, from his knees down to his ankle, by paying off debt, making extra income, having other sources of income. What happens if the water level's at your ankles and the economy, quote unquote, slows down? There's a little bit of a recession. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And the water level table comes up to his knees. Well, of course, it's a little easier to walk through water in your ankles than it is in your knees. But, realistically, it's not much of a difference. Not for any, person over 5'5". You're good to go. You know what I mean? But when the water level and the water table's at your, mouth and you have to close your mouth to breathe and you're treading water by your nose, and then the water level goes up 1 inch and it pops in and hits your nose. Dude, that is scary. That is freaky. I've lived there. I've lived there for a long, long time. And I can still relate. That's why, dude, I'm probably messed up in the head mentally. And there's a lot of baggage there that I've tried to spend a lot of time unwinding, is because I live that way, like in scarcity, in freak out mode, in put out one fire for another fire, rob Peter to pay Paul, cash advance one card to pay off something else on a different payment. Or, I remember Liz and I, we literally got served a debt collection letter on Easter of like 2016 or 2015. I can't remember what year, it was 14, 15, 16, but we had a debt collection letter from Liz. It was like it was like $800 or something. And dude, it was like somebody on Easter telling us that we owed like somebody $50,000. We didn't have $800 laying around. You've got to be kidding me. So like, I know what we had another debt collection. We actually, it was like maybe in 16 or 17, something just caught up just randomly, because when you pay off one of those bastards, then everybody like just chum in the water and they all want to get theirs. And Liz had some other weird thing, whole nother story for a whole nother time. Not exactly her fault, but it is what it is. And I remember some guy calling me up and it was like $535 or something. And I was like, bro, we were actually starting to like make a little bit of money, like in maybe 15, 16, 17. I don't even know. And he was like, well, you guys owe this. And I'm like, yeah, we're just not paying that. I don't know. This is not financial advice. But I was like, yeah, dude, I'm not paying it. And out of nowhere, like, he never called back. But we don't know if it's like actually been sufficed. We were just talking about this story like 2 days ago. That's why it's fresh in my mind. But the point is, dude, we have been there. And like, if I would have just had proper pricing and knew how to price my work correctly, okay, that would have been solving the first problem of why I wouldn't have, quote unquote, had to go do extra things to make more money if I would have ran my business correctly, most properly. Okay, so usually, like, if you have to go do other things, it's because you're not doing the first couple things right. And that's, I'm not trying to be mean, not trying to be rude, but if I wasn't, mowing lawns for $20 and if I wasn't snow blowing driveways for $20, more than likely I wouldn't have had to have, quote unquote, do extra things to shore that up. Now, a great scenario is get your business right, get your finances right, get your pricing right, get everything, hitting on all 8 cylinders, and supplement. That's how you can really dig yourself out of a hole pretty quickly. That's literally Liz and I in the last 5-6 years. Like, we've worked our butts off 80 hours a week between the lawn and landscape company and doing the social media crap nights and weekends. Bro, for 5 or 6 years, maybe 7 years now. I think my March 15th or something like that is my anniversary date for my YouTube channel, plus or minus a day or two. And I think this is our 6th or 7th season. Dude, the first 4 or 5 years, like, there was no money in social media. It wasn't a thing. Like, not like lawn care YouTubers, at least. Like, the first 3 years, we made literally no money. And we were just making videos to make videos and have fun. And we maybe get like a free trimmer once in a while from Echo. Praise the Lord. But that was it. It wasn't like we were making rent with anything from social, if that makes sense. All right. So a lot of words just to say, number one, try to shore up any unnecessary expenses, big unnecessary expenses, little stuff like getting a Coke. It's not going to make or break your life. Netflix is not going to make or break your life. Getting your DoorDash is not going to make or break your life. If those things are making or breaking your life, then you need to immediately cut out every single thing like that. And you need to have a really hard, tough conversation about what you're doing to be responsible as an adult to make money. And I'm not being mean. I'm not being funny. Like, there's way more pressing concerns. Like, you're living in like the 10 to 20, 30 grand a year poverty category. And you need to ask other people for help and for a lifeline. And dude, Liz and I, like, we've danced in that area. We've had the ERC, not the employee retention credit. There's the UEC, the unemployment something credit once. Like, we've had those little credits before on our tax returns, folks. Like, I'm not trying to make it sound worse than it was or better or milk it for anything. Like, we are embarrassed to talk about those kind of stories. Are you kidding me? And that was in like 13, 14, dude. Like, when we had met, we both made no money. Liz was bartending, at Buffalo Wild Wings. She wasn't bartending, she was serving. And I was literally making like, dude, 20, 30 grand a year. Like, it was not a lot of money to go around. So number one, cut unnecessary large expenses. Number two, make extra income. Number three, and here's just a quick thought that sometimes I'm seeing pop up with different work and different commercial sites, different residential is, like, if I've talked about this before, if the economy does slow down, you got to remember that, like, a 3-4% dip in the economy, which would be like catastrophic actually, but 3 or 4% dip, there's still 97% of the same revenue and business going on in the economy. So if we're a, 3, 5, 10, 20 trillion dollar per year economy and everything shores up and we do 19.2 trillion, right? We're down 1 or 2%. There's still $19 trillion of goods and services going around. Baby diapers, formula, steaks, French fries, milk, eggs, cheese, bath towels, luxury purses, podcast mixers, books. I'm looking around my paint. I'm looking around my nursery here. For my baby, there's still $19 trillion of things still moving. Okay. So the core businesses, the core functions of society will still go on. Electricity, power, water, sewer, gas, all this stuff. Like the world's not ending. So like, don't let the news pundits give you a head fake thinking like we're going back to bartering and I'm going to trade you a box of 9mm for a box of eggs. Obviously I would shoot the person with eggs. Just kidding. Just totally kidding, dude, by the way. That's horrible. But you guys know what I'm saying? Like, it's not like we're over in some ridiculous country right now that has that kind of stuff going on, which is unfortunate. I'm not naive to that, but that's not how it is right now. Okay. It's not that bad. So that being said, like, if that's the case and we've cut expenses, we're trying to make extra income and we're working on properties that might want a little less work is really what I wanted to talk about. Number 3, that's okay. There's some commercial clients right now, we're negotiating contracts and they want, 5 fertilizer apps instead of 7. They want 3 instead of 5. They want 2 instead of 7. And I'm like, they want maybe a weekly for certain times of the year and they want bi-weekly for certain times of the year. And now I'm literally a 0 bi-weekly kind of a guy. But there's a site that I'm picking up and I'm keeping it because of the snow and salt. And I'm like, okay, is it worth me to lose $200-300? It's like a $1,200 a year mow client. I'm like, is it worth me losing, quote unquote, or not making $300-400 of mowing to secure the bag to keep the $6,000 to $8,000 we do in salt and snow? Where we have a 20-30% margin, and I got a 20% margin on the mowing, a 20-30-40% margin on the snow. Is it worth it to keep that account and keep it happy and not do 5 rounds of fert, do 2, and do biweekly mowing for a portion of the season for it instead of weekly? Sure. Even your boy, I'm like, hey, there's like, it's my way or the hard way or the highway, right? Whatever. Like, okay, there's still concessions. There's still compromise. It just depends on what you need. Like if you need the income, make some concessions. If you don't need the income, don't make the concessions. I'm building a home in the worst quarter and the worst time of all human history. So so stupid, dude. It's just so stupid. It's like you can do everything right, bro. And just sometimes life is like, I got other plans. And you're like, all right, dude, like, yay. So I'm like, is it worth me to keep this $1,500 in revenue for the mowing and mulch and whatever, and try to keep the $6-7 grand for the snow? Yeah, it is. It is. And it doesn't mean you're weak or there's other adjectives that you could use. It's nothing like that. It's just, dude, if you need it, bid it as if you don't need it still, but it's okay to make some concessions so you're still able to get that extra work. And so some people are like, hey, this patio, is $32,000. Is there any way we can get it in the 20s? You're like, well, it depends, right? Like, do you need the work? Bring it down. If you don't need the work, then don't touch the price and find a different client. Or tell the client, no, it is what it is. This is what we're offering, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't get the work, like also shockingly, don't be, alarmed or baffled when they go with somebody else, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is continue to network, continue to market, continue to build your brand, continue to learn new skills. Those are like the hands down, no-brainer 3-4 things you can do when the economy is slowing down and other people are receding and other things are backing away, right? You can press in, you can amplify. This is the time to keep some cash on hand from those profitable, robust years and not go buy a Chevy 2500 Denali, which does nothing for you. Now, trust me, if you want to go buy a 40, 50, 60,000 cool truck, awesome. Do you need a $70, $80, $90,000 truck? Not really. I mean, honestly, no. Now, if you want to go get one, dude, no shade. If you want to go get a cool truck like that, I like my cool trucks. You get your cool trucks, dude, no shade. But my point is, a mature way would be like keep 50 grand into a truck and that extra 20, if you will, that delta, get it for retained earnings and for marketing. Similarly, like people are like, should I pay off my mower? I got 0% on it for 36 or 48. I've got, 22 months left. I got 9,000 sitting around. Should I pay off my mower? My honest answer is no. Like keep that $9,000 on hand for employees, marketing, maybe additional equipment you can buy to reinvest to continue to grow and to add services, add revenue. Maybe you're in a neck of woods where the local pressure washing guy went out of town or retired. He was in all the subdivisions you're in, and people go, hey, any chance that you pressure wash pavers or siding? No, but you're like the third or fourth person that's asked me today, right? And you're like, hey, like the wife needs a new car, and you're like, well, let's connect the dots. And you're like, I got a free, Saturday, or I can do something, after 4:00 once the mow route's done, go do 2 pressure wash jobs. Well, there you go, right? And so I think you guys listening in, like I'm probably preaching to the choir here. You guys are a very industrious bunch. You guys are a very robust bunch. You guys are very smart and very, very capable. I think like the people that we attract to the show and myself and you guys, like I think we're figure it out type people, right? Like, okay, we might not have all the answers. Hey, we might not be perfect, but we'll make it work. We'll figure it out. We'll make it happen, right? I think that's what you have to do when you approach an economy that's kind of slowing down. One other quick thing, maybe keep a little cash on hand, maybe keep some guns, some gold and some silver. You never know, like if things get wild. I was actually having this conversation with Liz the other day, and I'm like, hey, like how much do you feel like you want to have on hand? What would make you feel comfortable, like as a wife and this and that? And there might be some arbitrary numbers that she posts out. And I said, hey, here's why I ask. Here's what I would suggest. Here's why. Here's the thought process here. Like, what do you think? And then she goes, oh, okay. And then like we kind of think a little bit more about it. Because I'm like, hey, where you at? And then let me give you some additional thought process that maybe could help. And then let's have a family discussion together and let's see what makes sense. We're constantly having those kind of conversations. And it's a weird one. It's like, hey, if we needed safe passage to Canada, how much do you think we would need? How much gun, gold, cash, silver, this, that, and the other thing do you think we would need? And we're both like, and it's just wild conversation like that. But it's like, you don't want to have that, but yet, let alone here we are. One other quick one. Well, let's hit the full doom and gloom is make sure you have like some food on hand. I'm not saying we're going into like a pandemic thing again or anything like that. But if the lights go out for a day or a week, like what are some contingencies that you guys have? Where do you guys go? Like, not to be like, might as well hit it while we're on this kind of a topic, because I don't want to talk about this stuff the rest of the year because I'm always like growth minded and just like let's go crush it. But like Liz and I loaded up on, I don't know, $400 or $500 of like ReadyWise, and all these different food, you guys have heard the ads, you guys have seen them, but load up on that stuff, dude. Get a couple people's, a couple weeks worth. That's all I'm going to say. Like get a good little robust 30, 60, 90 day supply, have 5, 6, 8 packs of waters on hand. People are like, oh, Essentia, ha ha ha. And I'm like, yeah, dude, like that's also like, we got, 10 packs, laying around in the garage. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, that's like an emergency fund, bro. Like, and we just keep cycling through. When it gets down to 3 or 4, we order more. Okay, maybe you're not there. Maybe you got the 24 packs from of Ice Mountain from Walmart. Dude, that's fine too. Like, who cares, right? It is what it is. But again, just some stuff to consider and to have on hand. Somebody was asking in the group chat, what's our thoughts on this bank run thing? And frankly, it's so above my pay grade. Like, I couldn't even weigh in if I wanted to intelligently. I was explaining to Liz what happened in Greece when they went bankrupt, and there was a run there and banks got locked down and the wealthy were able to fly to different countries like the UK to pull their cash out while the locals were screwed, and then just total like anarchy and chaos and bartering and trading. I said that's the kind of stuff nobody wants to see. That's, as much as people think it'd be fun, that is not what you want to see in an economy. You do not want to see a revolution, quote unquote. It's just, that is not what you want to see, folks. And I'm ready for anything, but you do not want neighbors pitted against neighbors. Okay. You do not want wild stuff in the streets like that. Okay. And it'll pray to God it never gets that way. Right. I think if we just cleaned basically everybody out of office and then restarted, I think that would be a good revolution. We can start in DC, have a little pilot, program there, but I digress. Any which way, that's what I got for you on today's show. When I got started in, 05, 6, 7, it was like a weird year and a half there working with True Green, and then I quote unquote went full-time in 06. A year, things were growing, things were doing good. I was the lowball bummy dude. I didn't have good pricing, and I didn't really figure that stuff out until, my gosh, dude, like 2015, 2016, watching some people on YouTube and really kind of materializing that until 17 or 18. But dude, like, do less work for more money. Raise your prices, keep your prices high. Like, if there's a recession, that's fine. The middle class is going to get wiped out. The lower end income folks, they didn't have the money for your services anyway, just factually speaking. But continue to work with the upper middle class and the wealthy clients. They will always need their properties maintained. They will always need to have their services done. So if you're in a area of town that's all $200,000 homes, you will probably feel it. If you're in an area that's all $800,000 homes and above, or a booming city area, then you will not feel the same impact as much, if that makes sense. And so, snow contracts, like have some per push, have some prepays, have some flat rate monthlies, hedge, right? Last thing I'll say is, dude, take the extra income thing on the side serious. You guys have heard me say it. Like, I'm a poster child for it. Like, get a couple extra things going on, man. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, if it's something that keeps you up at night, and I always say making $100 a day keeps poverty away. 100 passive dollars a day keeps poverty away. I've said that to my friend Paul 100 times. He went ballistic on that thought this last year, and Paul's doing everything he can to like grow some social media stuff, which I'm really proud of him. It's just where his focus is, and he's doing a great job with it. But anybody can do it. You don't have to be a social media influencer, just so you guys know. You don't have to do YouTube videos. You don't have to be some talking head. You don't have to have a cool podcast. You don't have to do any of that kind of stuff. You could literally register for Amazon affiliate links tomorrow, or the Amazon influencer program, or make an e-Kindle or an ebook, or a tech review YouTube channel, or make an Instagram account selling t-shirts or hats. Josh Sutton with Sutton Outdoor, awesome dude. They do they've got like the laser thing and all this stuff, the Glowforge or whatever. And dude, if you had to quantify it, I don't know his business, but I guarantee they're making an extra $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a year, maybe more. I don't want that to be rude if they're making like $200,000, but I guarantee you Josh and Julie are making 5, 10, 20 extra a year, right? And that helps, dude. If you do $200,000 a year in income and you're like, highfalutin, okay, that's still a 10% raise on your income, bro. And it's just a hedge. It's just a diversity thing. It's just a take the pressure off thing. There's 1,000 things you can do on the side to make more income. And I feel like since 2000, a lot of intelligent people have been like, I do need to quote unquote mind my own business and do something on the side. And then other people like just don't get it, or they mock, or they ridicule, like some mom that's like, reading horror stories, on YouTube, and she's got, 15,000 subscribers, or she's got a podcast, and it's like, this is brought to you by Kleenex Cold Care. It's like she's running ads, and those little ads make her 15 cents. But you know what? Like, maybe that podcast and that YouTube channel makes her, $600 extra a month, and she's, got two kids, a husband. He's an engineer. She's, a nurse. But nights and weekends, she like takes 5 hours a week to read an audiobook or make these stories up. I don't know, whatever. I know like every girl right now listens to this kind of stuff. Dude, that's awesome. $600 a month, $12,000, $7,000 a year on a family combined income of like $90,000. That's an 8% raise. Nobody's giving out 8% raises in corporate America. No, we all get numb to that, because if we're like, hey, if we want $500 extra, we go schedule 3-4 aerations or 2 aeration overseeds. Right? Like, you got to remember, like, people stuck in 9 to 5, like, they might be freaking out. Thankfully, most of us, we can go schedule more work, and as long as we got the bandwidth, we're good to go. Okay. Here's the last thing I'll say. It's like, don't underestimate $10 here, $50 here, $100 there. Of course, I want you guys to make thousands, but be a little bit more cognizant. That's all you got to do this time of year, and that's going to make sure that you don't get wiped out. Okay. All right, that's all I got for you guys today's show. I hope this was an encouraging episode. I know it's a little bit weird of a conversation. It's not always the fun stuff to have, but I just care about you guys, and none of this is like really alarming news or shocking news or coming out of left field. I am curious to see how the rest of this banking collapse, the second biggest bank, I think, collapse in I don't know to say like U.S. history, but I think since 2008. And so one piece has to be the domino that falls in the economy for there to be wild, results after that. So is this the first domino? We shall find out.
You're working hard to grow your lawn and landscaping business. You deserve footwear and apparel that works as hard as you and makes your life a little easier. Cujo Yardware has been listening to the lawn care community and is working to offer you the best gear. They started with the Cujo Yard Shoe, the hybrid shoe boot designed for mowing, trimming, and landscaping. After hearing the need for a safety toe, Cujo launched the Composite Toe X1 Landscape Boot. Thanks to your feedback, Cujo introduced the Jags, a high-performance work shoe that just pulls on with no lacing needed. And most recently, Cujo listened to the lawn care community to create the ultimate summer work pants, the light, breathable, and comfortable Cujo Yard Pants. Cujo Yardware is dedicated to the green industry and will keep working hard to offer you the right gear. Check them out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com. Hi, I'm Mr. Producer, and one more thing. If you're looking to stay up to date with the latest trends and insights in the world of lawn care, then you need our free email newsletter. It's delivered 3 times a week and includes a Monday motivational to kick off your week, a Wednesday what's new to keep you informed, and a Friday weekly recap of all the content we put out. Join our mailing list to stay connected to the world of lawn care and get exclusive access to the latest and greatest from Fullerton Unfiltered and Brian's Lawn Maintenance. Don't miss out on this opportunity to stay ahead of the curve and elevate your lawn care game. Sign up now with the link we've provided in the show description.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.